Well, I'd like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting tonight on January 8th. I'd like to welcome all of you here. Welcome you. I have the opening remarks, and I will say that in the form of a prayer. Then afterwards, if you'll stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day which Thou hast blessed us with. We're grateful for the snow we've received, and we're grateful that we can be here tonight, and we're grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy in the United States of America. We're grateful for this land of liberty. We ask you to please preserve and protect this land. And we're grateful for those serving in the armed forces. Please bless them for their service. We ask for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Commissioners, if you had a chance to look at today's agenda, do we have an approval or any questions? If not, can I get someone to accept the approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes from last month.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any questions on the last meeting's December 4th minutes? Anything to talk about? If not, can we get approval on those?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Didn't Doug's motion include both though? Okay, making sure I follow it right. Alright.
We got them both covered.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the consent items for the Mendon South Canal CUP and the Frenchie's Farm Lot Split 1 subdivision amendment. Is there any comment on those from anyone or from the commissioners? If not,
I'd make a motion we approve the consent items. Mendon South Canal CUP and the Frenchie's Farm Lot Split number 1, first subdivision amendment.
I'll second that.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
Chair, can I just bring
Yes.
something up? Brady just texted me, said he's on his way, so.
Okay. Okay,
Now we gotta wait 3 minutes. We went too fast.
We can start with the staff report.
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead and start on the regular item. Okay,
Alrighty, so this is the Mountain Manor Springs 2 rezone. It's a request to rezone 98.68 acres from the agricultural zone to the rural 5 zone. Should the rezone be approved, a maximum of 19 lots will be allowed. The parcels do not match the configuration dated August 8, 2006. Parcel 125217 did a boundary line adjustment and is a legal parcel. Parcel 125226 was the result of an illegal split or just an improper adjustment. Adjacent uses, properties to the north and east are a mix of agricultural and residential, while properties to the south and west are agricultural and recreational. The nearest parcel in the county that's in the rural 5 zone is located 1.55 miles to the southeast of the subject property. The property is located in the Mendon City Future Annexation Area. The future plan has this, the Cache County Future Plan has this in agriculture and ranching. Location is mostly to the Cache Valley, outside of municipalities. Example areas are most of the valley. Purpose and character include agricultural and rangeland uses on private lands, and our conservation easements are expected to continue in the valley. Separation from dense residential development is advantageous. Agricultural landscape provides separation between adjacent municipalities and protects suitable soils. Preferred land uses include agriculture, ranching, rural residential uses at densities of less than 1 unit per 10 acres, conservation easements, and agritourism. Secondary land uses include industrial and commercial uses directly supportive of agriculture, clustered subdivision developments, outdoor recreation, and farm worker housing. Discouraged uses include residential development at densities of greater than 1 unit per 10 acres, if not in a clustered subdivision development, commercial office, commercial retail, flex office, industrial, and heavy industrial. It's also located in the mountain rural and conservation area. The location of this is the majority of privately owned mountain and foothill areas. The example areas include FR 40 zone that's not on public land. The purpose and character of this zone is forest, recreation, and multiple resource uses on private lands. Forestry and recreation land uses are expected to continue. Maintaining the environmental quality of steep slopes, canyons, and forests with minimal residential development conserves watershed resources and improves resiliency from wildfire, geological, and flood hazards. Preferred land uses includes forestry, agriculture, conservation easements, watershed protection, hazard mitigation, outdoor recreation, and tourism. Secondary land uses include seasonal residential housing of 1 unit per 40 acres, clustered subdivision developments, resorts, recreational businesses, and public institutions. Discouraged uses includes residential development at a density greater than 1 unit per 40 acres, industrial, commercial office, commercial retail, and heavy industrial. Roads, 7200 West is classified as a major local, provides access to residential and agricultural properties, is maintained by the county year-round, and has a speed limit of 30 miles per hour. With an existing width of 20 feet, a variable right-of-way, a 1 foot paved shoulder, a 2 foot gravel shoulder, and a 5 to 10 foot clear zone. Is considered substandard as the right-of-way, paved shoulder, gravel shoulder, and clear zone. One lane would be the primary access and is considered a private lane. Should they get the amount of lots that they're hoping for, they'll have to bring it up. In terms of service provisions, the Cache County Fire District had no comments. The applicant will have to work with waste management for solid waste disposal. Noticing was completed on December 26th and 30th. Public comment at the time, we received one comment from Mendon City, and Mendon City doesn't have any issues with the rezone. Staff doesn't have a recommendation, but we'll help you draft a letter to the county council.
Okay, thank you, Connor. Commissioners, any comment before we open the public hearing? No? Okay. Get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone here would like to come up and state your name?
Rye Lund. We're the ones submitting the application. Based on the staff report, just want to kind of go through the facts of if we're hoping to get approval. There's a subdivision that's northeast that's an RU2 zone. They have a really good system that we're trying to follow if we can get approved. They have one big water system that feeds all the houses. There's over 50 houses in that development. It's a High Country Estates subdivision. And so we're trying to follow kind of their pattern of it. Instead of drilling a bunch of wells, we're just trying to have one feed into a tank and then feed down to all those lots. If we can't get approved, we'll probably just pursue the A10 zoning subdivision change and have each individual lot drill their own well. So we're hoping we can get approved so we don't have to drill that many wells. So the other thing will fall into the Utah Safe Drinking Water Act if you do 15 or more homes, and so it's regulated by the state. They help with the design of the infrastructure of all the water system and everything, and they help regulate and the requirements and all that stuff, so we can be providing good, healthy water. Just wanted to reiterate the fact of the RU5 zone. It's to allow residential estate development in a low-density pattern that can allow for rural subdivisions and smaller-scale agricultural uses. Usually, people that move up there either have animals already or are planning to have animals. My brother has cows. He doesn't buy hay from people way down in Salt Lake. He buys it local, from the people that farm the land right around. I think, if anything, it'll benefit all the surrounding agricultural uses. And we're designed to not unreasonably impede adjacent municipalities. Mendon City is the closest city, and they have no concerns with the rezone. And so we're hoping we can get approved. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
okay. Do you have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Connor, will you scroll that map just a little, so we can see the south end of that? I'm just trying to get an idea of how many acres might come off of that as undevelopable with the RU5.
And actually turn on the light.
Yeah. So I was trying to see that whole parcel to see that. Not very big.
So Connor, can you explain to me the unapproved subdivision, what that is a result of? Are these additional homes that are on there, they weren't approved? Is that why it's unapproved?
So to some extent, this was a legal parcel, and this was a legal parcel. It was 11 and 16 at one point. Essentially, 11 got shrunk down, and then 26 was created as a result of that.
Okay.
So it's just a bad boundary line adjustment more than anything else, but yeah, that's just kind of the issue with it.
Okay.
So I have a question, Connor. I don't know if it's for you or for legal. So the planning commission is considering a change to the density ordinance. Is that the right one we're working on? So was this in before that was being considered, this application? I don't know how that rule applies, right? If a request comes in before we start discussing it or after, before it's approved, when is that line?
My understanding is when it's been adopted.
Okay,
Yeah. So it has to be considered under the old standards.
until the new one's adopted.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify to make sure how we.
But has any test been done to find out if you can find enough water?
Not that I'm aware of. That probably happened more towards the actual subdivision process.
Each has a separate sewage system?
It depends on how they design it, but more than likely that's common to see, but it comes down to how the designer wants to design.
Well, it has to be a septic tank, because the other septic tank would have to be run by a municipality according to state law, correct?
If it were a big combined one, they'd have to.
The last question I have is, what's the chances that Minden would annex them?
It's in their annexation area. In terms of annexation pace, I couldn't tell you. It's a ways out there.
Quite a ways out.
It's a ways out there, so it likely won't be soon.
I will say, meeting with that other subdivision that was mentioned, that has that citywide system, they are currently scrambling, cause their well is down to producing a few gallons a minute for 40-something homes.
And the other one has arsenic in it.
And the other one has arsenic, so they're not in a good way right now. We're trying to figure out how we can help them out there with the Bear River Water District too, to get a better water supply for that many homes. So, they may not have lawns next summer.
If we did approve it, can there be a stipulation that water has to be found before it can take place?
My understanding is no, not yet.
No.
I mean, right now we're in the rezone, we provide a recommendation for a rezone, all that stuff would come later on.
Under the
in the
subdivision.
subdivision process, whatever rules are in place at the time when they submit that application.
As someone that was around when that other subdivision got rezoned, Jason, I don't know if you've been around. I can remember several times since then, just problems
Yeah.
that have come up
There
there.
are only a couple of decisions that this body has made over the years that I really regret, and that's one of them, is that one. It's plopping down a town in a rural area that doesn't have the services. It's on the far west side of the valley, and all of those services are more difficult. That's my major concern about this, is we're stretching, and the major discussion that we've had with the county council has been, okay, where do we put these things? We've tried to be consistent in this body over the years, to place the higher density close to municipalities with limited exceptions. When we had a small development, we've allowed some RU2s where it's a couple of lots, in an area, but in general, we've tried to take these more major developments and make sure that they're close to municipal services and roads and all of the things, and those are my major concerns about this project, this proposal.
Connor, can I ask a question? When you say in your report, the county fire district did not have any comments or concerns, so no comments or no concerns or both, or, because as we've talked with them before, they have had some issues with so many houses out in the part that they can't get to. And I bring that up because Mendon's fire station is, it's there, but staffing it has been a problem.
Yeah, in this case, they didn't have comments either or.
Sorry, thank you. How you doing, Brady? Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, so I think similar to Jason, you know, it looks like this will probably potentially allow up to 18 lots. I don't remember approving an RU2 or an RU5 that size in quite a long time, since maybe the mistake was made.
Yeah, I think that one.
Nearby.
Not in my time we haven't, that was before me, so.
Should I make a motion? We to that point?
So I would make a motion that we recommend denial to the county council on the Mountain Manor Springs 2 rezone based on the findings of fact listed for the denial.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, our second public hearing, the frontage and access amendment. I wonder if you can take us through that?
Yeah, 1 second. So this is a code amendment that essentially is trying to tackle an issue, well, two issues we can see in the county. One is people are starting to access properties where they have frontage on, let's say, the west side, but they'll access from the east side or the south side or the north side. That presents certain problems in terms of actual review of those developments. So it's trying to tackle that problem first, and the second problem we're seeing a lot of is in the county, especially up in the 40s, is access is weird. There's a lot of roads that aren't guaranteed to be there. They're clearly visible, you can clearly see them, but the concern is if they have frontage or not. That's hit a lot of applicants up there, and it has issues with development of just even a cabin or anything like that. So that's the primary purpose behind these two, is to essentially kind of regulate access through the frontage of the property, the part that abuts the road directly, and then also kind of resolving an issue up in the 40s.
Okay.
Could you explain, sorry, Chairman, could you explain the first concern, the east versus the west,
So essentially, I think I could pull up an example. That would be great.
We had a good example.
Yeah, there's only one. That's a good question. Find it. No, there we go.
is it similar to the one that we've seen before? Okay, all right.
So in this case, the applicant got a subdivision approved where they accessed on this side. In all reviews up to that point, we're assuming they would access through that side of the property. And then what they ended up doing was accessing from the south side, which caused some problems in terms of questions of what was approved is actually what happened. That was the biggest concern. It also presents some problems in terms of reviewers later. I know that Public Works and the fire district had some issues with it, but it's essentially kind of closing that loophole as it exists. Because to us right now, this does meet code, right? It does have 90 feet of frontage. The concern is that the access is coming off of somewhere else, so there's concerns about addressing, and just things like that. Kind of presents a safety risk.
Do you know if this would also apply in FR 40, or we would have questions of how they get to the cabins and roads for access
I
to?
don't believe it would. Let's see.
Because I know when we sat through DOE, we've had some questions on this before, how they access
think that's what one of the things we're trying to solve, right?
Yeah.
Up in the Spear Canyon area.
Especially up in Scare Canyon.
Yeah.
Essentially, this just says, hey, it's on you to determine if you have access or not. That's basically it. So do they need to access through it?
So let me just, sorry, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, how would this alter that example that we talked about? Show us.
Oh, in terms of this, essentially what it would
Yeah.
require is they access through here, up through the stem.
But what if they came in originally and said, hey, we're gonna access from the south side? Would this ordinance change anything from that?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty hard regulation. You have to access through the part of your property that touches the road.
But it
Which they
touches
could on the
both-
south,
Oh, okay,
potentially.
so there is a.
Yeah, this is the parcel we're talking about right here. So there's that line right there, right?
Mhm.
There's the property. Essentially, all reviews up to the point through the subdivision thought they'd access this way. They're accessing up through here.
Chair,
Where they wouldn't have had the frontage.
could we ask Matt to give us some insight on this thing too? I think he's already thinking about it.
Okay, Matt?
Connor touched on it, so I'll just expand upon that. So this subdivision plat came in, right? They met the 90 feet of frontage. So that particular lot would have been addressed off of one road. And now when he comes in after the fact, we don't have anything in our code forcing them to access off what was platted. And so now they're coming through the farmyard and going through the old farmyard to get to their lot. And now fire, EMS, everyone else, their address is still off the other road. So how do they find this house in an emergency? How to do these things? So basically they used a loophole, and there's other people doing it to meet all the code requirements, but never had any intent in accessing off that was platted.
So why don't we hold occupancy on it? Because, as we all know, life happens, whether it be divorce, something else.
Right.
If that house has to be sold, it's just gonna be a bigger mess.
Yeah, they still have legal access, so that part's good, right? They still have, so if two properties were sold and they got kicked out of coming through the farmyard, they would still have a legal access. So I feel like the code, did its job there, but it's all these other things that you didn't anticipate. So now you start to find that people are just platting stuff to plat it to meet all the code, and then they want to access through their neighbor and through three other properties. And how do we start to address the other issues downstream that creates? So
The utilities, though, as you well know, followed that, or something did, because it was excavated, and
Yep.
there's still dirt piled out there.
Yeah, power comes in from out there.
Yep. So again, the code did a good job of creating that. I mean, it is a flag lot. Let's, call it what it is, which we don't really have a way. But so this is an attempt to try to keep, hey, if you're going to plat this, if they'd never intended to go this way, which I'm assuming they did, so maybe I'm wrong or right, they should have platted it where they were going to use their access through the farmyard. Then we could have made sure. But now you have fire truck issues, you have EMS issues, you have all kinds of other issues.
Parked in the driveway.
Tractors parked in the driveway.
Huge problem.
Yes. But we didn't have anything in our code to say they could not.
Okay.
Can I ask just a question on that? Sometimes I can see a project would have, hey, we have unforeseen issues.
Yeah.
We hit, there's high water table or something.
Right.
And we can't go where we intended. Would there be a mechanism to make modifications if we make this change?
Well, and that's why I walked up here, because I do think that there's probably, in every code we have, there's always that one scenario that we need to grant an exception for. But I think that those exceptions should maybe have to come to this body. That way that there's a little bit more of some legwork to get to that yes, instead of just, coming to staff and arguing with Connor or whatnot that, hey, it says right here, you can grant this, so I'm gonna come and visit you every day until it's granted. At least give a little bit more so that, hey, that we're having more eyes on it to see if it really is one of those exceptions or whether it's just peer pressure to grant that exception.
So at this point in time, does the city or the county, do we have any teeth to put in it, or do we not, and that's why we're?
No, they were granted access through the farmyard.
And they can't amend their plat to show that?
We don't have any teeth to force them to
Anything there,
amend
leave
it,
that then, okay.
and they have no desire to amend it.
So what we're really doing is protecting them from themselves.
The
In the
next
sense
one,
that they're trying to
The
save
next
money,
owner?
Yeah,
the house could be burned down in the meantime.
correct. And that's a risk they had to take, but we're seeing this more often that, you know, because of other issues or whatnot that people are trying to access. And I do think there's gonna be the cases where that we should grant them access through somewhere else. Nolan, you also talked about what we're calling the 40s, but those in the FR 40 area. If this ordinance goes through as passed, we wouldn't even identify if that was a road or not. We would just say, however you get to your property is up to you, and we're not gonna verify that you have access or that you don't have access. So there's no way for us to verify they have frontage if we never verify there's a road. So this standard saying you have to access it on your frontage, if we never find out whether they have frontage, this one would currently, in my opinion, not work for the FR 40. You would have a code that you're stuck between. So if you're willing to grant that, hey, whatever happens in the 40s, we're not gonna verify you have legal access, because a lot of those, if you guys are aware, they were these PUDs that were done in 1975, and the records just aren't good enough. So while all these people are accessing those roads, we can't find any legal documents granting anyone. It's really a civil matter between all those people that the county, since they're private roads, the county can't get involved in. So what ended up happening is these people run around in the goose chase trying to, you know, they don't even know who to go to get access for them. But in that similar case, if we're not gonna verify the road, then we wouldn't have a way to really verify frontage in some cases, and they would probably be traveling through 2 or 3 different properties on what could be an easement. It may not be a private or public road at that point. So I do think that you're fixing one issue down lower, but you're adding another one up higher in the mountains. So
is this gonna make the FR 40 more confusing then for landowners?
yeah, because how do you verify that they're accessing through their frontage? And they can only access through their frontage, so therefore you have to determine how they're getting to it, if it's a public or private road, and then that would be their frontage. You could assume, but if they just have some little 2-track through the neighbor's property to get to theirs, where's their frontage? So I do think you might have to.
That I was bringing out is there's some lots up there, and this is a separate case, but their property didn't even front a road, so.
Yeah. So
We
if,
have to deal with that in some way, but.
so you may have to say that in FR 40, you don't have to access it through your frontage, and then that would solve that little double code standard.
So it sounds like we might need to reword this before we approve it, or just approve part of it?
Potentially. I mean,
Or if we approve it as it is, maybe this is probably a legal question, so for those people in the FR 40, we approve it this way, they basically can't, they would be existing non-conforming, and they couldn't modify their, or, you know, add something or subdivide or anything like that, because it's non-conforming, because we couldn't. Is that reasonable?
I think anything before that would probably be, maybe fall into that, but it would be going forward when we're trying to review that zoning clearance application and we're trying to apply, hey, you have to access through your frontage.
Yeah,
That's
seems-
gonna
seems
be a
like
hard
we leave that
decision.
in there, We're taking the development opportunity from a lot of FR 40 owners. They haven't built something already.
Yeah.
They've already built it, they've got it in there, but there's
Yeah.
nothing else.
And the ability to sell that property
Yeah.
as well, because it's gonna be encumbered with.
Yeah, and to me, that's why I say, I don't know that we wanna pass it with that in there until we.
Yeah, I mean,
Talk about some other
Didn't,
options.
didn't we have that one up, it runs my mind that it was, either above Paradise or Avon?
Yeah, it was above Avon.
The gentleman come in here wanting to do some development, but he was a flag 40 back, he didn't even have any road frontage on his. So in a situation like that,
yeah, then that's the same thing. Right now, the code says you need to have frontage on a public or private road.
cause we held him up from, I think, wanting to build, didn't we, because of that?
Yes.
Which,
So that's, that, I mean, we've been trying to protect some of these people in that neck of the woods up there from, you know, potentially building a home and then finding out they can't get to it.
well, that was his,
Yeah.
mostly his problem
He
anyway.
couldn't get to it and no one would give him an easement or anything. If you change this, then it would be like, not our job to figure out how you get to your property. If he comes in and says he has an easement there, or it's a public road or a private, well, not a public road, but a private road through his house, to get to his house, we would just say, okay, we're gonna take your word for it. So what we've been trying to do, in my opinion, is try to protect these people from their self or from selling things that doesn't have an access. But it's been a very long delay in the Development Services Office because it takes them a long time to try to get all that sorted out. And they have to go talk to the neighbors and then this neighbor and that neighbor. And then they say, well, this document proves I have it. And we're like, not really. So we've had to be the judge and the jury on whether that access is really an access or not an access. And it's frustrating to those people. And all we have been trying to do is protect them from their, you know, kind of their self, to make sure you, hey, prove that you really have legal access to your property and then you're good.
Matt, so on this property here, pending that we pass this, at least even if we split it tonight and said, let's go for it on county, inside the county, not including FR 40.
A10,
Could-
R2, RE5.
Could we hold this piece as non-conformable moving ahead like Jason was asking? So that if a sibling or if they sell a lot and try to get approval, could this road hold that up?
That'd be a question for Andrew, but I don't think so because it's already passed before, yeah. And at the time they did their development, they met all of our code requirements.
I don't think we have a choice to not do something on A10 or less, but, I mean, as soon as possible, and then figure out the FR 40.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend that there's a way that you can grant that exception. Right now, I don't think there is any way to grant that exception. And we know, I mean, if you're just in code can't fit every scenario, so,
I think most codes need that exception at the end.
yes. But it needs,
There's a lot of them that don't, and
it's-
it messes a lot of people up, and then we spend a year trying to tweak a code for one project.
Yeah.
When they could just come for review and an
yeah.
approval or denial.
If it's really easy though, then you find yourself just granting an exception to every one of those, and then the code you're passing does us no good, so.
Mr. Chairman, my suggestion would be that we go ahead and just facilitate the public hearing, but then we can,
Yeah.
hold off on
Hold
any
off on
sort
till
of vote.
Okay.
Unless folks are motivated to the aspects that are ready, but I'll leave that to further discussion.
Okay. We have a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Someone here that'd like to make comments on this code amendment? If not, have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to
Just a
close.
point of order on that, we're still a minute out, I know it's technicality, but
No, it was 5:50.
We're good.
Am I looking at the wrong one? Yep.
We're behind schedule.
Oh, we're behind. I was looking at the wrong one.
Well, I'll make that motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are we in a consensus to just hold off on this till we can make some changes?
Yeah, either way, I'd be fine moving forward with the,
A10 or less.
yeah, A10 or less. So that,
Keep the FR 40 out.
Yeah,
and it may count on industrial and commercial, or do they have a separate one that's already works?
I believe it's just, doesn't include.
A10, RU2, and RU5 then.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be fine moving forward with it, with
The
that.
other,
part, so we
the
don't have
other
more of these.
sections just have the frontage length or depth there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it might apply to all of them.
yeah, it's,
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna
got
say, it has
commercial and
subs on
industrial.
all of them there, in red that look like new,
So I think the motion would be for all zones other than this.
R4, yeah. That would be my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And that was to recommend approval to the county council,
Okay.
just to make sure we're legal.
Now we're back on schedule.
Okay. Item number 5, public hearing for the subdivision code amendment. Connor, if you can walk us through that one.
Connor asked if I,
Oh, that you do? Okay,
a little bit of a break, I guess, from Nancy, not doing all the talking.
okay.
That's fun, that happens to my whole time. As you guys are aware from the prior discussions we've had with the county council, there's been desire expressed to put some updates in, county code for some subdivision, put some additional requirements in there. This was a draft at that. If you look at that, the proposed changes, the exhibit A there, very quick read, there you go, what's in red are the proposed additions. So, we look at the first one, we're talking about the suitability requirements for subdivision, we're gonna talk water, some of the questions we brought up earlier. We talked about, what can we do to show that there's actual water there prior to final planning approval. That's what the proposed addition for number 5 is getting at, is that they show that you have enough water there, it's available for all the standard requirements of the different agencies there. And then, number 6, the proposal is, if you have a subdivision with over 7 proposed lots, those subdivisions should be within a local municipality's annexation plan. And additionally, they have to connect with the municipal water supply and meet those requirements for that subdivision. So that's the proposed language. Again, this is just a draft. Welcome any feedback from you, other departments, or we solicited that feedback from other areas in the county. Haven't received anything yet, to my knowledge. If there's something out there missing, we'll welcome that feedback. And again, that's just the proposal there for consideration. And then when we get to the same thing on the sewage, essentially the same thing as the water there.
Can I ask a clarification question on that? So the way this is written, that's just 7 lots. That doesn't have anything specific to the zone.
Correct.
So it's a subdivision. It could be an A10 100 acre parcel, but we're putting 8 lots on it, 8 lots. Even though it's under normal A10, and normally we would go in
The
this.
current language is, yes, that's.
This would be
We look into tweaking however you want, right? 'Cause these recommendations will come into council, but that's as it's currently.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I don't have an
Yeah.
issue with that. I just wanted to clarify that we're not.
So maybe as an example, like the agenda,
Tonight.
item tonight, you know, they can come back, they can turn around and say, okay, we didn't get the RU5 rezone, we're just gonna come in with a subdivision for A10.
And we want
And they
9
can get
lots.
9 lots, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this would-
But this.
But under this, they could
under
really only
this-
get 7,
That's right.
yeah.
Unless they.
Unless they wanna go to the city and get sewer and water.
Yeah, if they wanna go over 7, they'd have to be connecting with the city and all that jazz, or be under.
Sounds like they don't care.
Yeah, they're not gonna run a water line that far, they don't have water, they don't have sewer. So they're really out.
Where do we refresh our memory? So, on item 6, additionally, the proposed subdivision must connect with the municipal water supply. From what I've observed, I think I don't foresee that happening a whole lot. The municipalities don't seem to want to give their water unless they're, and I'm not proposing that we change it, I'm just identifying that I think that's gonna be.
It's not a concern, I think, correct me, at least the message I got from what the council and the commission wanted to do was keep growth in the cities and restrict it in the corporate county, right?
Right.
So you're allowing people to go do stuff if they can meet these requirements. Now, it's gonna be hard for them to get that, especially in this case, maybe one fits, some cases, right, but if it fits, great, if not, hey, that's the mechanism to try to further that goal, if that's the goal.
Well, the purpose of my question, I really appreciate you taking the extra time to touch on it, because I'm fine with it. But just wanting to double clarify, that's our intent. But then I was also wondering, I'm not familiar with them and I didn't see if they were in here, but can we clarify what is the water requirements, the additional water requirements if they're unable to hook onto the city or municipality? So if I read that correctly, they still have two options. They can either connect to a municipality. Oh, never mind, there's not additional, that's it.
If you're over 7 lots, you gotta connect to it.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
So,
Yeah, I think it's
so
good.
that,
It's what currently at play, right? So.
I thought we had an option that there was other, so that's what I was trying to
and
clarify.
I think that was our discussion, with the council, was that they could put in a what's the
Water
official,
district.
what's the
Water.
official term, a public
Essentially
water
private,
system.
yeah, public water system.
Public water system. This is much more restrictive, I think, than some of our discussion there.
Yeah.
Like I said, not that I disagree with it, but just to point out the difference in, I think, some of what our discussion was.
And I think that, and if I missed something, please let me know, but my understanding from that discussion was, hey, we're still waiting on some information on these water studies that are coming out, right? And that we're gonna kind of tackle that problem once we
Down the
get that
road.
additional information. This is the
Okay.
now, again, whatever you guys wanna do.
Brady, to your point, we all know that there are some municipalities that respond very well to the county's request because it is in their annexation zone. I mean, if you go back to like, some of the mayors have said, I want some say-so of what's coming in my annexation zone because of zoning may be different, or those people are in like city parks or anything else and they're not paying city taxes, so.
Or
I
a
think-
lot of times the developments don't meet the city standards, so when
Yeah.
they do come to annex,
Then they gotta change.
And is this skin in the game for those
I
municipalities to
think
say?
this brings them to the point that they need to talk to us so they can help us decide what's
And,
going on. So,
and if they want, this is your future annexation
Is
zone,
this what you want sitting next to?
well, you ought to be willing to accept them and provide services to them if it's within that, so.
I just
So,
think it brings
so
them
I
to the
think it
table
gives,
quicker.
I think it gives options. One of my concerns was maybe that this was an absolute dead end, that it was an impossibility. And I'm just kind of concerned from a legal standpoint if we wrote a code that was impossible to meet.
Yeah, I had the
if we-
same
if
thing
we
for
would
those
be
big, for those
exposed.
little bigger parcels, right? If we have someone with 150 acres, this, for the most part, this is gonna limit them to 7 lots.
right, their only option would be to come in with a public water system
Yeah.
and a public.
Sewer
But
system.
I don't think
Septic
I don't think as it's written, it allows that. I think it's only written for municipal. Is that?
Yeah, as it's written, it
That's right.
doesn't, that's reading that, I had that concern, and I had a little concern on 5 even, right, prior to final subdivision approval, they shall have proof of actual water on the subdivided lots, and I think that's similar to what, we were trying to get to what Box Elder does,
Right.
but this doesn't talk about size of subdivision, so if it's a 2-lot subdivision, right, they've gotta drill a well before they could sell a lot. And to me, it really depends on where in the county that makes sense or not, right? To me, everywhere in the county, even if it's a 5-lot subdivision or a 7, right, there's areas we know, without a doubt, you're gonna get water. And to require that developer, that landowner to drill a well just to show it flows, to me seems excessive in areas. I think we could tailor that somehow to say, in areas of maybe groundwater concern or something, but for everyone to have to do that, to me, doesn't seem necessary.
They gotta do it eventually anyways, though.
On
so
the
why not
flip side
do
of
it?
it,
Potentially, yeah,
Yeah.
it just depends where they do that, but now you don't know where it's sited, the actual lot, where the house is gonna be, where the septic's gonna, right, it may mess up a lot later on.
one pro of it being done though is as Mr. Chairman stated, that it's gonna have to be done anyway. And I think it's a little better now, but a couple of years ago, that guy couldn't get a driller. I mean, they were.
Yeah, for a while,
they
it
were-
was tough.
They were 8 months, a year out,
Yeah.
or longer. And so if that's, somebody comes in, pays for a lot, they ought to be able to build on it.
Yeah, but they
Yeah,
should be able
but
to have water there, so they know that there's.
That's
But this-
100%,
yeah.
I'm in favor of
But
of
the other,
saying that we
the other
gotta have it
6,
done.
Me
the
too.
other 6 lots won't have water there, right? They're still only drilling 1 well for that 7-lot subdivision. So those other 6 lots still may have to wait for the driller to come. This is just one well to show there's water in that area. You're not drilling a well for every lot. This is just showing there's a well that's capable there of supplying water for that area. I don't think this is saying every lot has to drill a well.
That's how I understood it was every lot.
But out
is that
there
not
in
the
That
case?
really seems excessive.
Out there in, the 22 lot that we're still kicking around, they only had to have water identified, right? Or they had to have it,
They'd have water,
Yeah,
right?
our current code, you have to have water rights for each lot, not wet water.
What's wrong with having every lot?
I
If this
I
guy's
would say,
developed with the, not have,
yeah.
why wouldn't they need a well? I mean, if someone's gonna go build, if I was
we
gonna go
wouldn't
buy a
want
lot,
just
I'd
one
wanna have
well, we'd
water on
want
it.
7 if they were doing 7 lots and have it done in
That's what I would
advance.
think.
Yeah.
I know it's a big cost, but that's cost is gonna have to be
They're
absorbed
paying for
anyways.
it, they're paying for it either way.
Yeah.
It just seems like in areas where we know every well's gonna hit water to
Not-
drill those.
Not necessarily though.
Well, that's what I'm saying, for the majority of the county, they can get that. And,
We've
and
had
by the end of
areas
the year, our study will
that they
show
have.
better where they can't, but
Yeah.
there's not too many.
You know, to your point, most places can have water, but it would also be interesting to say the surrounding wells within a certain area. I mean, I've got 3 neighbors right now that have had to re-drill a new well because their wells weren't pumping water. So your point about in certain places of the county there is water, I mean, we know that out in Cache Junction in that area, there's less
Limited.
but I'd like to see that the planning and zoning gets to hear, I mean, because we know that when these happen, a lot of people come in and their frustration is water, because they're concerned about their well, and so I wanna watch that we protect their private water rights or have a way to do that. And this might be a way to do that, I'm just saying to give that some consideration as well.
But there's been wells drilled in Richmond on both the north and south side that they've had to drill multiple wells to hit water or not hit water. And so as we're really protecting, the developer comes in, makes his money, he's gone. I don't know what kind of a deal on that, you know, if he sold the lot, saying they had it, if he just tells them they got a water right. I mean, we're protecting the individual that buys the lot if there's a drilled well and there's water there.
I don't know how you write it to do the next part you're saying. The
That's-
Division of Water Rights hasn't figured that one out yet.
No,
Because there's really almost no way to prove that you drilled this well a quarter mile away and 6 months later this one dried up. To prove
but it's,
causation and not coincidence, so far in the state has been pretty difficult.
right,
I don't know if we wanna get in the middle of regulating that.
no complicates things.
Yeah, that would,
But just to
Really.
bring it back around, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, our discussion was, hey, we've got a water study going on. We're looking at some interim means, and so I'd certainly support this as a temporary measure
Yeah.
that maybe we work through as we're waiting for that water study to come in. Okay, what are we gonna do when we really know what our resources are? Can we then fold that in? But I would support something similar to this in the interim at least.
Okay. Should we,
I had a question, Mr. Chairman. Just Andrew, would, you know, he's soliciting feedback, and I didn't know if the executive's office had provided comments yet, or to you, Nolan, or whatever. I mean, because they had reached out to me when they saw this language and were kind of struggling with it or whatever.
To me, there's 2 sides from the executive's office, one's for it, one's
Okay,
questioning.
okay, good to
So
know.
that's my
All right.
answer.
Okay,
well, should we open this to a public hearing?
I think so. I can make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone here would like to make comment on this code amendment?
they're like, why are we last on the list?
Nibbling.
I didn't come for this one, to talk about it, so we can play yours. So I agree with
Jason here, like, or maybe I don't agree. I don't, I don't know.
If I agree with myself.
It is super limiting to like some of these bigger parcels. Yeah, Nate Player. Yep. It is super limiting to some of these big parcels, and I don't think we should punish them because they haven't split their lots up previously. So I think that would be kind of a punishment to them. The whole saying, hey, well, you can't do it unless, if you want to have 8 lots in there when you have 150 acres, asking Mendon to send water lines 6 miles away, like that's never ever going to happen. So you're basically just saying, hey, you guys just drew the wrong straw. So
we are allowing them to do it if they'll create their public water system.
so if they so there is an option in there that they can do what
We'll add it, but we've concerned that, so.
The other thing though too, just in what you're saying, Nate, and I'll keep listening.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But you don't have anywhere in Mendon cities, well, unfortunately, I apologize. We don't have, all we have is their actual boundaries. I was gonna say, I don't know if they've got a 6 mile.
Yeah.
I would question if they did, but.
Because going up into like Petersboro and
They actually cross Valley View Highway with their annexation.
they do.
Mendon
To the
does,
north.
then you might be.
And then to the east, it's like Little Bear River or something like that. But like over there, we've even had problems with people's wells going bad where they've got methane or whatever, and they're literally like, I don't know, a quarter of a mile away, and Mendon won't extend their lines to those places. So it's like us saying that, hey, this is the new standard for the county. Like it just, most cities aren't ever gonna bend, even though eventually 50 years from now they want them to be part of them. Like especially for those small towns, that's a huge burden on the city, but then it really locks that up. And I understand we're trying to lock things up so development only happens next to the cities, so it's not like out there in rural county. But I don't know, I think it's silly to punish those people who have bigger parcels. And then what was the last, let's see.
So are you with Mendon City?
I'm not. I came here once again for the Hollow Road thing. I live in unincorporated county just outside of Mendon. So that's why I know that area pretty well. And then I should have wrote it down. There's one other item there. So on the whole subdivision thing, so as a disclosure, so I am in real estate, and I help clients step through the processes of doing this kind of thing. Like for example, I've got one right now in Wellsville, just kind of on the bench, and they've got like a 72 acre piece, and they're planning on doing like there's seven 6-acre lots, so they're nice lots where they can keep things in greenbelt and whatnot. But yeah, in the process, we've had to acquire water, which is I think it's a good requirement, is to say, hey, look, you've got enough water rights for all your parcels you're making. But to require a developer, and it's one thing if you're like a Visionary Homes or something, a huge thing like that, but most of the time it's just local people doing this, and like it was already pretty burdensome. Luckily we were able to find some pretty cheap water at $8,000 an acre foot, but since then, like that same person we bought water from has raised prices up to $25,000 an acre foot. So it's like here we are like punishing these people, saying, hey, look, yeah, we want to make sure that you have the water for your subdivision, but and that's something they have to do. They've got to find the water, appropriate it, and transfer it over there. But then now we're saying, hey, you got to spend $50,000 per lot to go ahead and drill a well on each one of these things. And so it's like, now you're going from this farmer that's scraping together $100,000 to buy water, and now he's got to sink another 500 grand in drilling these wells. And at least for my client there in Wellsville, out of the 7 lots, he's only planning on selling like 2, maybe 3 of them. And then the rest he's just going to sit on. So it's like now we've got those water rights sitting there that are not in use, and eventually they'll probably have to. Oh, yeah.
5 years, right?
Yeah. Well, 7 years. Yeah. If you appropriate new water from the state, then that you have to drill something in 5 years. But if you transfer it and it's just sitting there, you've got 7 years to use it.
Or file a non-use application.
Yeah, and you can file that non-use 2 times, so up to 14 years. You can have that water sitting there. But like, if he went through the process and followed this new train of thought, and he went out there, bought the water shares for $25,000 an acre foot, and then drilled a 50 to, depending on where you're at there on the bench or whatever, 100 grand well, 7 times over, and you're only selling 2 of them, like, you're barely gonna scrape even there. And yeah, so that was my other thought, was like, I understand like acquiring the water, because we don't want people to say there's 15 lots on this 150 acre piece and not have the water to make it happen. But like, I think, yeah, requiring them to drill a well on every lot, like one well, like, I still don't like it, because I feel like it's an overreach. But like, definitely, I just think that's inappropriate to require a farmer to go through that, especially if he's not even gonna be profiting by these lots, where he's just gonna sit on them and then pass them on to his kids. So I don't know. Those were any other thoughts. Any comments before I take a seat?
Drill a well, they just make that lot that much more profitable for themselves. So it is a cost that they'll retain and get back. And we see all the time, somebody comes in and rezones and wants these as a lot and say, I'm only gonna build 4. But if they get approval for 7, believe me, 7 will be built.
Yeah.
Somebody will build.
And we're having to, our responsibility is to protect the public from themselves.
Yeah.
Any of us that are from here and doing it know what we're dealing with, but people are used to building and buying in the city where it's all there.
Yeah.
So they go out and buy it in the county, and then if it's not provided, if it's not clear, they're coming back here wanting it taken care of, and that's not our responsibility.
Exactly, and they're coming in and yelling at you. Yeah. I know. Like I about 3 years ago, I sold a property out in Richmond, and Matt helped me with some of the stuff on disclosures, like saying, hey, look, the chances of this being a buildable lot, like like none. But like, yeah, you get realtors all the time, like, hey, it's 9 acres in the middle of Richmond, like in the middle of the fields in Richmond. How many houses can I build here? And it's like, well, maybe one eventually. but yeah, so I understand that we're trying to protect, just the everyday person who doesn't know what they're doing. But I don't know. I feel like, like I understand having the water there. I wish there was a better way that we could like do a study that said, hey, yeah, there's going to be enough water there for 7 wells there. But it's like, I don't know, we're already we're already asking quite a bit, and I know we're trying to get ahead of this because the valley's growing, but like, I don't know. I think if we made drilling a well on every lot, like, once again, these wells, for example, if we went through and passed this and added that as a requirement, like, you'd have like 2 of those lots sold, and yeah, you could up the price a little bit because it already has a well on it. So tack 50 grand or whatever it costs to do that. But then it's like, literally these other wells are just gonna sit, just sit there. So I don't know.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add comment? If not, motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that.
Okay, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I don't know how the committee feels, but may I make one other suggestion?
Sure.
How about we hear the Nibley deal before we finish this, so these guys don't have to wait, or do you wanna finish it?
Well, I guess how close are we to making a decision? You wanna have a lot longer discussion on this, or do you everyone have
Still have a few other changes to go through, don't we?
Yeah,
There's a few things that need to be
I'm fine with that.
still.
Okay. Well, let's.
Kelly, we'll take the tips over there.
Yeah, you're a good man.
Okay.
You can see us nodding.
Come back to this.
I see all 6 of you in the same mindset.
I was hoping you'd all say some comments here, but. Okay, well, let's come back to that and go to item number 6 then. To the Blacksmith, Hiram Fork Irrigation Company, CUP.
Perfect, yeah. So this is a request to operate a utility facility distribution, short the reason to pipe the canal. The scope of the project is about 775 feet of canal be piped with 36-inch corrugated metal pipe. Hours of operation, the canal is anticipated to operate continuously or within the schedule that they have. No employees will be present on site aside from periodic maintenance. There will be no signage, there will be no on-site equipment, and no waste is anticipated to be generated as part of this project, or part of the operation. The roads, it's located on the west side of the Tuttenham property, so it doesn't necessarily impact any public roads, so there was no comment there. Parking, it's exempt from a parking analysis due to its use type. Services, the fire district did not have any comments, but will provide feedback if needed. Solid waste disposal responsibility of the applicant. There are some detrimental effects and sensitive lands on the property. Stormwater, they'll have to submit a stormwater report. There are some noxious weeds on the property, but they've been working with the Vegetation Management Division, so we'll need a copy of whatever work they've done with them. Air quality, they'll have to make sure that best management practices are followed. There are steep slopes present on the property, but as the canal is following the existing canal alignment, this restriction is not applicable. There are moderate slopes present on the property. They want to submit a topographic review of the area that they're constructing. Should this topo show that they are in those moderate slope areas, they want to submit a geotechnical report. Noticing was completed on December 26th and the 30th. The agenda was posted to the county website on December 30th as well. At this point, the only public comment we received is from Nibley City, which was part of their application packet. No other public comments have been received. Staff is recommending approval with the 10 listed conditions and 3 conclusions.
Question on that. Is this in Nibley City source protection?
It is, but that doesn't necessarily impact this because they're not doing septic.
It's not doing septic, so.
Yeah, we don't have any concerns on that front.
Is the applicant, would they like to come up? Mr. Burnett, would you like to come up and say something, or one of you?
We just,
Do you want to state your name?
what's that?
Do you want to state your name?
Oh, my name's Brandon Parker, the president of Hiram Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company. And all we're wanting to do is pipe our existing little canal on Hollow Road. I don't know. Any questions?
All right.
For water conservation? That's.
Yeah, and there's some safety aspects to it too.
Questions, commissioners?
Maybe the only one I have, and just from a phone call earlier, the address you have down below, Connor, is 4785 Hollow Road. And on the application up top, they're just different addresses. And maybe it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because Mr. Tuddenham was concerned the address was wrong. I'm like, I don't think that matters, but I'll ask in the meeting to make sure. Okay,
It's just a general address of the location.
I figured that is my mistake. I wanted to make sure it was in there. Checked it.
Thank you. There's no other questions. Thank you.
I have one other question.
Oh, hey, Brandon, he had a question for you.
When we did the Highline Canal up here, there was a dispute as to who owned what, as far as the canal bed and everything else. Is that all clear and?
Yeah.
Well,
It's all.
because otherwise you'll find yourself in very hot water.
What's that?
You'll find that you'll have a problem if it's not defined right. Who owns what?
We've got the easements all recorded.
Any other comments or concerns, commissioners? It's pretty straightforward. Okay.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, ready for motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we, this is a CUP, it's for us, approve the Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company conditional use permit.
With the 10 conditions?
With the 10 conditions, thank you. Two conclusions?
Three.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We had a public meeting.
Not on this one.
This one.
No.
Was there negative comment? We thought you were all together in favor of it.
Yeah, but it's not a public hearing, but
Yeah.
it's just a CUP. The public comment should have came in during the application when sent notices, right?
Yeah.
On that. Oh, really? Well, apologize about that. We didn't know.
Now, this would be the first meeting we heard about it.
Yeah.
Was there noticing on this one?
Yeah, there was.
That's probably why they're here, is they got the notice, I guess. We just didn't.
What's your name, sir?
What's that?
What's your name?
My name's Con Smith.
You live within 300 feet of the property?
He was asking, do you live within 300 feet
I live just across the street.
from the
Are you
project?
inside of Nibley city limits?
We can still hear their concerns.
Are you inside of Nibley city
We still
limits?
hear them? And they can go to the county council and, but it's still,
Well,
it's
it's passed.
These
That's
guys
passed,
all want
okay.
These
Yeah, won't go to
guys
council,
all want
okay.
their lot.
We can still hear from them.
Do you wanna come up, you can come up, voice your concerns?
Yeah, we just apologize, because normally, if it's not a public hearing, it's just presented and done.
Didn't know or didn't see that.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
and usually we'll ask, because usually, yeah.
Yeah.
I did the same, and just assumed they were all with the
Yeah.
same group, because usually we'll ask if anyone's here to speak for or against.
Well, I did
them.
say, is there any other comments, but,
Do you mind if I make a comment?
yeah, sure, please go up and state your name.
You can hear all of them.
Yeah, if there's any other comments, let's hear them.
Okay, my name is Con Smith. It's kind of spelled crazy, K-O-H-N. It's but no, you guys need to come see us. I live on Hollow Road. It's one of the most beautiful places in Cache Valley. And if you were to come there, you drive down my lane, you'd see probably 20 or 30 pheasants, probably 90 quail. There were 6 4-point bucks in my backyard last night. We have eagles sitting in the tree. We have beautiful, big, giant trees. Now, taking all that emotion out of it, okay, they did a study on a canal going right through my place, which is the Nibley Canal. It was just on the other side of the road. So Utah State came and had they did a study for 2 or 3 years there on the water flows coming through our property, and I was really educated by it because I couldn't believe what they told me, because I've always thought differently. So one of the facts is that they came up with was if you were to pipe that canal, that you would actually lose water. And the reason is there's all kinds of springs come in and feed it as it goes down, all the way down into the Bear River. And so there is a little bit of seepage along the road there, and it goes in the ground, but I guess there's a giant aquifer underneath, okay, that, does a lot of good for the wells and everything else throughout the whole part of the valley there. But what happens is, we have these big giant trees, and where that canal is being proposed to be piped, there's these huge trees. So now you'd think that the trees suck the water out of the canal or the spring. And really what I didn't know for sure was surprised to really learn, is they said that the trees actually store water. And so they suck up some water, but they also put it back in. And so the trees along the canal actually preserve water.
And that's their that's not me talking about, that's the scientists talking about, Utah State. And so when you think about it logically, you go up and down Logan River, there's how many thousands of trees are there up and down Logan River? But yet the water continues to flow. And so, in my own study of water usage and right and everything, there was a Supreme Court case in the state of Utah. I could quote it for you or whatever, but it's basically this, is that unless your name is God, you don't own the water. You have the right to use it, but every living organism uses water. So, you got all kinds of animals and all kinds of people, whatever, that need water every day. So when we put it in a pipe, all of us that live along Hollow Road, we see those giant trees every day. We see the animals. And we all have at least 2 acres, and most of us have many more acres than that, 5 or 6. So we're a community of what you call, there's a name for it, homesteads or something, little home, because we all got goats and, and sheep and some horses and this and that and whatever. So the Kimball Decree, when water was first decreed for usage, it had to come under culinary, it had to come under stock water, had to come under irrigation, and there's one other. So there's many uses for water. And I guess what we're saying there along Hollow Road, there aren't very many places left anymore where you have that kind of beauty. I've got a creek running through my place, and there's 5-pound trout that I go feed every day. It's gorgeous, and the animals that are there. But more than that, I think the clean air thing with the big trees and or whatever, and man, oh man, we just hate to put the water in a pipe. I would ask them, really, are you sure that that's going to conserve water? Because the studies that have been made don't say that fact at all. And we're just talking about a small area there. It's been there forever. Maybe they say leaves fall in or what, but spring water, it's gorgeous water that all kinds of things could really benefit from. And we've lived there forever, and you can talk about a safety item, but if you do that, then you better fence off every piece of open water in Cache Valley. What are you going to do? Fence the Hiram Dam? You're going to fence the Logan River? That's the responsibility of people and parents to make sure their kids aren't doing something that's dangerous. But that canal that's there is beautiful. It's got about maybe that much water in it that flows through there. And I go along there sometimes with a four-wheeler, go up on a hill, and there's big trout in there that spawn there, It's just to see them. So I guess what we're saying is we don't want to be downtown Logan. It's already congested. There's a beautiful piece of property, an area up there that we love. We do everything we can to make it look good. We invite you all to come and see us. We'd love you to, but unless there's a really good reason to pipe that, if they can do a study and say, is that really going to save water? Is that going to, then just to do it, to be doing it, I don't know if that's what I'd want to be doing with my tax money for sure. And like, I guess our properties, we go along and you pipe that canal, there's going to be a lot of great big giant trees that'll die. Oh, you guys think, it goes right through their property. But anyway, that's just my
Thank you for your
my own emotional pitch.
Thank you. Same viewpoint.
We come up here and state your name, so it's
598.
help us identify too, Mr. Smith, while you're up there. So we can see on this, the map, but I'm having a hard time. I see Con's property at the far north end, but will it actually, will the river be piped? Or is that canal?
It's clear on the west side of the highway.
Behind Jay there.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
You know, that's not, I got all my neighbors there too. I kinda try to look out for them. It's the whole area.
Did you receive it?
The whole area is just, it's a jam, Cache Valley, I'm telling you. You know, and so, you know, that, as it goes along the hill there's all kinds of springs along there. You know, and there's never been a time that I've lived there 20 years. I don't know, Dennis has lived there. There's never been a time that it's been a problem, but I know. 37 years, yeah.
Well, the comment, I'm Gary Smith. I live further down on Hollow Road, but the comment I would make is if you approve this relatively small project, I'd remind us that there are at least 4 canals on Hollow Road. Now we've set a precedence of how we're going to deal with the greenbelt areas, the places that we all bought properties, you know, where I live is a 10-acre minimum. I have 2 canals running through my property. I moved from Logan, Mr. Poole will know this, because the canal got piped in my backyard in Logan. And I moved out there for the very purpose of being in that kind of environment. I have horses. I wanted to have the water running through there. You know, we talk about the trees. There's more value of trees than just the water it takes. There's shade water, there's clean air. I mean, there's a lot of environmental impacts of killing a whole bunch of trees. And if we start a precedence of piping this one little water so that people down the road somewhere can have water, we've hurt a lot of people. We set a precedence that now we open it up for every canal company to do it. And we really, really hurt that environment down there, which we all paid a lot of money for those properties because of the nature of what was there. So I don't see any value in piping those, especially after I watched it happen from the Logan Canyon out to the north end. That project was a disaster with all of the, well, that's opinion. My opinion was a disaster. In my backyard, there are so many springs coming into there. They had to leave the canal with the pipe so there was places for the springs to run, which created a absolute disastrous bog that was mosquito infested. And so I moved. You know, I didn't have a choice. It was there and I moved. I hate to see the same thing happen in a place where there are not just one canal, but there are 4 canals. And if we shut all those down, we affect aquifers, we affect environment, we affect clean air. It just doesn't seem necessary in my opinion.
All right, Nate Player again. So if you look right there, that 152,001 and 152,002 is my mom's property right there. So this one, yeah, it does run through the middle of her property. And then there's also another canal. So yeah, that is definitely a concern. Like you start piping one, why not do all of them? And the next thing you know, it's just, we've got the rocks, but none of the good that comes with living in a river bottom there. And yeah, I was going to bring up that too with the, piping it. You are going to see that quite a bit. I've got friends that live over there by Herm's diner there. Same thing, and I understand why we did it there. Like tragically, we lost those lives of that family there. So something needed to be done. So I understand why we did that. But yeah, a bunch of the trees all along there that had been there forever just croaked because there was no water. Which once again, like the canal company, like obviously they want their asset to move to the different areas, so I understand that. And I'm not sure, you guys talked about it, but none of us heard what was going on. So with the canal, did we figure out the canal bed, like, is that owned by the canal company, or is that owned by the residents that live on the canal? Do we?
Yeah, we have a prescriptive easement.
Okay, so you have an easement, but the property is owned by the people. Okay, yeah, because one of the big red flags why I wanted to come was because we did see that just happen in Logan, 10 years ago or whenever it was. Like those people who own those properties with those beautiful trees along the canal there that all died, now they've got like a walkway going through their backyard with dozens of people walking through their backyard. So I'm glad that's not the case here, right? It's not like we're gonna pipe this and then put a running trail on top of it, running through people's backyards. It hasn't been declared. I know that's the intention of Nibley City because they've disclosed that. So that's no bueno. Like, I don't like that. Let's see. The other notes I had here was, okay. So yeah, Gary, right? Yeah. So Gary mentioned how, like, in Logan, there were several springs on the mountainside, and then that created a problem because before they just flowed into the canal and then they were able to move. I would say that this is even worse. So on those properties that I'm talking about there's at least 2 or 3 that are pumping out probably, I don't know, 100, 200 gallons a minute coming out of those springs, coming down the mountain and just pouring into that canal. So it's like all of a sudden you throw a pipe in there, now that whole area is flooding and yeah, now the basement of my widowed mom's house is filled with water because you guys piped that canal. So I'm not sure if there's a plan in place. You do have a plan? So is there gonna be like a grade there, or are you gonna like?
A French drain into 36-inch pipe.
Okay.
Do you mind if I ask a question to all of you?
Yeah.
Has there been any communication between the canal company? Have you guys had an open meeting and allowed these people to come talk to you or ask questions, anything before? I just was curious. Why was the canal company maybe not?
Yeah, if you come up and state your name.
He's still going.
Oh,
I just had.
I can step aside and then finish my comments. Do you want to, and then I'll finish my comments after.
I'm Floyd Burnett. I'm the secretary of the Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company. 2 years ago, we had at our annual meeting, it was explained what we were going to do. From Franson Engineers have been doing the engineering on the project, and we've had several meetings. The engineers have been there. The water users have been invited to those meetings, so they have been informed what we were going to do.
Thank you.
When I lived in Logan, I was helped with a canal company, and the percentage of people who even look at that postcard that goes out is like super, super low. So once again, like, the people who read the notice that live on Hollow Road that would like to put a voice, like, they're not here. This is just a handful that were paying attention. So yeah, so that's definitely going to be an issue. It sounds like you've got something in mind to capture that. Okay, but all the other individual ones, because.
So this isn't a
Yeah.
meeting for you to have a discussion.
No, you're good.
Just comment.
Yep, no, you're good. Yep, you're good. Sorry. And then, like, if we're worried about water, like getting down the canal, I don't know. Maybe it's just our little section of the canal there, but like, just the neglect, because we still have, I don't know, probably still another 100 gallons a minute pouring out of this canal that we're talking about piping, that just out of neglect of maintaining the bank. is just pouring into the horse pasture on the south there and then flooding the yard right there. So like, and I understand that that's probably why the canal company wants to pipe it, is because they're sick of maintaining it. But like, if we're worried about getting water downstream, like maybe just fix the banks. Cause yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand.
Thank you for your comments.
Yep.
I'll try to keep it.
Yep, sorry.
So thank you. One thing because I'm involved with I have Connect water shares and stuff, it's how important it is to go to those water meetings. I know you don't think they're that important, but you need to attend them because things happen and that's your chance to have a voice in those meetings. And if you're not there to take part as a shareholder, you kind of miss the boat, because when it comes at this point, it's almost too late at that time when we're coming for a conditional use permit. And so I know your concerns are real and valid, but it's really something that needs to be addressed with the canal company at that point, not a county issue, because they have a legal easement through there. Any other comments?
I would just add that, you know, the legal precedent that the Supreme Court here in the state has provided is that you shall approve conditional use permits.
Yes.
And so that's also a challenge from this side.
Unless there's some huge safety thing that we knew people would die or be injured if we approved it, but something like this, yeah, I mean, and you know, you said if we approve this one, we've approved it, well, this is the first one this year, but I think we did 3 canals last year that are, I mean, and canals are being pushed by the state to conserve water and make their systems run better so that water can flow to the Great Salt Lake, and so, and operate their systems better. It's tough to meet the needs of everybody in some of these situations. And in this case, the canal company has the right to use that water. They don't own it, but they have the right and to maintain that system and operate it how they feel best. And we're the mechanism that has to approve that based on, current law. It's not something we can just deny.
You who have spoke against it, do you have water rights with this canal?
No, I just live across the street.
That's a big
These
issue
guys
in my
do.
mind.
These guys do.
Water users got a claim on the water. I agree, the trees, but just like was stated here, we're in a drought system and we're being mandated to improve our conservation of water.
Yeah, so the state, the Water Rights Division, they want you to show good use of water. They want you to.
We understand all that. We got that.
So that's, that's.
Yeah, so I wouldn't change anything on what we passed based on those comments.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, should we move back to number 5? There's more discussion on the subdivision code amendment. Yes, thank you for being here tonight.
You can hang around if you want.
Go get them. Hey, the only last thing I'd just add is you guys are going out. We've been involved with these canals before, and if you got them springs, double down on your engineer, because in Richmond, I wish like heck our pipe was bigger, and they missed some springs. And once that pipe's in the ground, you can't change it. That's your cost when it's open. So make dang sure that they've dotted their I's and crossed their T's anywhere there's known springs, and just make sure your capacity's large enough.
Yeah, when you look at their design, it has notes on all those springs. They've already measured them all for a couple of years to see the highest flows.
Well,
They gotta account
just
for.
telling you experience.
From those springs, you could also make a water feature there that would run fresh water. If you're not responsible for, where it runs right back in your canal. They did that up on the hill in Logan.
Sorry.
It'd be tough in this
Still got a lot
gravel
of
pit.
feelings.
Between Richmond and Copeland, two big floods from springs that wiped out road after we buried the
They couldn't go in there anymore.
Built by Craig Allen's house.
Who's the engineer on that one?
Same one.
Well,
Branson.
that's part of why some of that should be addressed in their stormwater review, to make sure all that runoff water can get in the canal now, which wasn't in there in the past.
That was Craig Allen's draw right there that wiped out twice. Springs.
We're trying to get better in
Well, it wasn't your fault.
The other ones are tough, cause like, the ones on my mom's hill there, they've changed places about 3 times in the 20 years that she's owned it. So, yeah, it's tough to, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Right. Okay, so back to number 5.
Number 5.
Yes.
So, just to summarize, so we had a discussion on this, and we had concerns that there wasn't an alternative from municipal connection.
Over 7.
Yeah.
Over 7.
Yeah, currently the way it's written, there's no. And I have a little concern even with number 4 on the fire one, right? I'd like to see some of those parcels, how many parcels that's gonna say are no longer
Yeah.
able to subdivide. If you got that one that was in here earlier that we told, she's in A10, so she could essentially get 9 lots. I think according to this, she could only get 2 now. Is that correct? Cause she borders, I would guess, wildland interface. The top of that lot. So that 90-acre parcel could now only have 2.
3.
Yeah, over 3.
Over 3.
Yeah, to me, that one is tough to approve. I see, there's a lot of cases where we need to look at that urban interface, but to just blanket say any parcel that touches that can only have 3 lots, and without taking a loop around the county and seeing what that does to property owners.
And that's why, I mean, we talked wildland urban interface just in general, but we didn't talk anything about numbers or anything like that.
Well,
Mike?
we did see this first. Yeah, this one came from Jason on the fire department. That, yeah, I had a really tough time.
I wonder where the 3 came from, more than 3. My gut would be that we need to have some more discussion on that, but consistency is something that I would like to see is, if we're going more than 7 on everything else, should we look at that? But we haven't looked at, is that a layer that we can look at, the wildland urban interface?
Why he's looking at Brady?
Well, I'm just curious if the county's, it was actually one of my questions for tonight afterwards, but since we just brought it up, they recently passed a law that certain properties would be assessed additional fees for fire.
Based on how it's zoned and the potential of.
And the location, well, it's just, my understanding was it's not even necessarily zoning, it's based upon the actual location in relation to prior fires and.
It's the state bringing out a map of what has the potential of forest fires.
Yeah.
Fires it's causing, and then that will increase the fire insurance.
So insurance is tremendously affected by that, but with all that said, where would that come into play here? Because have we been, as a county, given any mandates yet? And who's gonna be the taxing authority on that? Are we the ones that mail them the bill and say, because you're living in this high-risk area, we're now gonna charge you more? Or who's responsible for that?
Well.
Or am I right in my question, in my thinking?
We might have a comment in the back.
Did anybody else read about that?
Yeah,
It's something that's being pushed to us by the state.
I realize.
I believe by our representative, wasn't it?
I couldn't tell you which one was there.
I thought he might have been behind.
But that could have an impact also on our areas, or being aware of we've gotta know where they are. People's gotta know where they are, cause if they go buy one of these lots,
yeah,
they all of a sudden just got a jack like that for buying the lot that they did.
And I agree with you, but in any case, I'm gonna say 2 words, caveat emptor, buyer beware. I mean,
I'm in favor of it.
Cause, yeah, this is coming from the state.
Cause those are costs.
Those are costs.
That we all bear, but we have 0 impact on.
Right. So, state is saying, okay, determine what's going on here, figure out what's happening. Sandy, did they have a map? They've got that map situated now, right?
They did do a map, and the way they explained it to us is the state was gonna send out inspectors to do those inspections, that it would not be the county. However, the county it will be a line item on property tax bills. We will be a pass-through, we don't keep the money, it goes through to the state. And I wanna, this is how I understood it when they talked to us, there's still a lot going on. But I think for the first 3 years, it's gonna be pretty minimal, like somewhere between $20 and $80 per lot. It won't be any more than that until they finalize and get it all taken care of, and then there's gonna be, restrictions, like there's a certain, code that says that 20 feet from your lot, if this, and this is in place, then this will be your fee, but you can mitigate those and have a lower fee. Like it's pretty complex, and they're still working on it, but for the first few years, it's gonna be pretty minimal. And the way they explained it to us is that we didn't have to do those, we didn't have to do the inspections. We'll see what happens, but they haven't even figured out exactly how the inspections are gonna happen yet. So it's kind of, it's still a little confusing, but it will come through the property taxes.
And it's for properties that fall within that zone, right?
In that high-risk area of fire.
Correct.
But just like she said, the lot owner can do some mitigation efforts to control possibilities of
Yeah,
fire.
and so once that's out, we can probably just add that as a layer on our GIS.
Yeah, we would,
People
I
can
just didn't know if we
be aware.
needed to take that into consideration now, cause I understood it's in effect now, but it's probably not affecting us per se yet.
So Connor has,
Yeah, so zoom in on that Petersboro area, Connor, there where we're looking, just 'cause that's where we're looking tonight already. So if they're within a quarter mile of that red line, is that red line it?
Yeah.
So that lot we were looking at today, it crosses right through the middle of it,
Yeah.
right, just to the south of that there, right there.
so that would restrict.
And all those lots below that, 'cause they're within a quarter mile. So to me, that 3 lot, yeah, I'd like to have some more discussion with Jason on that, 'cause that seems like there's a lot of large properties around the edge of the county
Yeah,
that we just told them, you just went from 10 lots to 3.
But what about our current zoning with hills, slope,
Those don't
whatever
count.
else, cause you're doing a slope on.
A10, that doesn't take it, reduce it now. We changed that last year. So A10, all those steep slopes, all that doesn't reduce your density.
At all.
No.
But
So
it
you could
still
even have your 3
restricts.
houses on that paved road down there.
Yeah, what I was
Go in.
wondering is it still restricts them though from putting the houses.
Yeah.
There's some restriction to build within that
Yeah,
area.
up on that steep slope.
doesn't hurt, doesn't
But if
affect
it's
your
all one
density.
parcel, they could stick them all on the
Yeah.
road frontage.
Yeah, just out of that.
Yeah,
steep
okay.
slope.
I remember now how we did that.
And just to comment on that, zoom all the way out, Connor, if you don't mind. If you look in the south part of the valley, yeah, look at all the, I wanna know what the definition of that wildland urban interface is, because I thought you had to have some urban in that. Cause that's just forest, that's just forest ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's private property that is
Subject
Subject to
fire.
fire.
Is that what the
Forest
definition
fire.
is? I just don't personally know the.
It's vegetation based.
Yeah.
Not, it doesn't have to do with development at all? Okay.
Let's state.
Okay. But yeah, that would be my comment is I don't know that I have enough information on that to make a good decision where we haven't had that level. I feel good about the other changes that we've added there, but that's one that I just don't know that I have enough information to render a decision.
Yeah, me too. I'd have to vote against it for sure with that 3 lots in there on that, without more discussion with Jason and see where that number came from and better idea of how much ground that restricts current property rights.
I mean, a lot of these, particularly in those areas, I mean, some of these could be 300-acre parcels.
Yeah, sure.
And you're limited to 3 lots.
Pretty quick devaluation of that property.
Yeah.
But even then, so, well, we already know in an FR 40, and would all that ground it wouldn't necessarily, because that mending ground wouldn't be FR 40 within the quarter-mile barrier. But if any of that's in FR 40, well, or if it's not agriculturally, I'm just thinking back to like that deal up Sardine Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
They've got to it's got to currently be in agriculture.
To move from FR 40 to A10.
To even move from FR 40 to A10. But, I don't know, I guess I'm just thinking of that land on the south, it's difficult for me to tell. Where's the reference? Was that just below Porcupine where you were prior to, oh, it's Paradise, wasn't even in Avon. Or maybe the south end of Avon, yeah, it's just below Porcupine.
Well, I think even that subdivision there that came in about above Hiram is within a quarter mile. That subdivision wouldn't be allowed under this, what's that name of that one? Saddle Ridge? Is it Saddle? Usually on Saddle Ridge, I don't think
Yeah, it's,
they'd be out. So south of the dam there. I don't remember how far south that one went, which parcels, but.
Well, if Jason can defend it, he's the guy that's gotta protect those houses if they go in.
yeah, I totally, you know, I just would like to hear more on what that decision was, how we came up with the 3 and.
Well, the thing that we have to realize though is none of them areas are gonna have fire hydrants. It's all gonna be hauled
That's why we gotta rely on.
It's all gonna be hauled water. So, I don't know.
I mean, and you said, you start picking apart some of the cities and their fire departments and what they're getting as far as volunteer fire department people, it's getting scary.
If you light your house during the day, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. There's not that
That's why Richmond hired with the county, because their volunteer base dropped to, during the day hours, they basically lost their crew.
No, that's what I was talking about with this subdivision. This
Yeah, there's
this
a lot
afternoon.
of
Mendez
parcels
is
there
in-
that.
They don't have the people.
Brett, not Brett, Brian knows all about it.
And like I say, I don't disagree with that. I just feel like I've got a lack of information on it.
Discussion is good.
We can go further, we don't have to do it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
You can
think
bring
we're
up the
ready.
next one.
What other thoughts or questions do folks have or suggestions?
Well, from what's been said, I guess I'm not in disfavor of 6, where they would have, the only option over 7 would be to tie in to a local community. But it would be interesting maybe to have an idea of how many parcels would that affect. You know, anything over, even if you looked at 100 and greater, how many parcels are we limiting there? But then, what's their even proximity? I guess we don't have to look at all of them. We've only got to look at the ones that are even within an annexation period.
But that doesn't give you a true point, because I can take my 300 acres and sell off 100, and I've still got others, so.
But you're not all one parcel on that. Aren't you multiple parcels?
Could be either way.
But if I read this correctly, when we say 7, that's only tied to one. If you've got 3 parcels of 100 acres, each 300 acres side by side, you could still get 21 if you're within a.
If you did 3 separate subdivisions.
Yeah, 3 separate, right?
Right.
It's the parcels that are individually greater than, wasn't that you guys' concern?
Yeah, that was some of it, yeah. Well, and that we don't have that qualifier in there, that if you can't do that, you could still do a private water system.
Private water, and I agree, we should add that in there.
Yeah, I don't know that the discussion we've had with the health department, if at that point you still need the private sewer system over the 7 lots. I think if they have the private water system, that negates the need for the private sewer system, because now you can have one well located at a safe distance.
We just wanted that
And,
discussion.
With it,
and
with its water protection zones.
correct me if I'm wrong, being a public water system, then it's gonna have a source protection
Yeah, then it's
zone.
gonna have that, so they're gonna have those protections would be in place for the sewer systems. So I think adding
So
that.
the sewer
to
is
that part-
actually kind of a moot point at that point, if there's a requirement for the public water system. Okay.
And I think knowing that, we're hoping that this is still a short-term
Right, till we
code, right?
understand what our
That
water
when
test
we
is.
get that water study back, we can readdress this and maybe update it to a little, make a little more sense in some of that.
Will that match what we find out? So we could put more homes on some places and fewer homes in other places? Can we?
I don't know about more or, you know, I think it will more match of areas that we need to make sure they have a good water supply before we approve 20 lots in that. Whereas in other areas, it will say,
The water
it's pretty
supply will
safe.
be attached though to our decision.
I think that's what we're hoping. We're hoping it's that detailed, which it sounds like from their initial presentation that it will be. So I would make a motion, we continue to work on this and don't pass it on to the county council yet.
Please submit your thoughts to Andrew.
Yeah.
Bring him on so he can draft this for our next ones.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the only question I have though is,
It's not just me, this is a
Yeah.
service team effort, right? So.
Okay, the Herald Journal argued otherwise, come on.
so with the kind of moratorium or whatever you wanna politically correctly call it.
It's out this month.
We kinda just lost that or are currently losing it.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
not that we really wanna stall this from keeping our size. I think, do we have anything else in place that, from the last meeting or anything, that still kinda gives us a cap?
No,
That's the only fear that I have.
we have nothing after.
Because if we don't put something in place saying,
Yeah, the word's out, people are gonna be rushing.
we don't even want to talk about over 7 without some exceptions. What can we do to protect ourselves there? That is a concern.
So I would
Because
be,
otherwise we'll have 322s coming back.
I would become, the one area that I just don't feel like I've got enough information is the wildland urban interface.
So number 6.
I would,
Number
for.
C.
It's 4 on the second
Four on the-
section.
B4.
C4.
Oh, you see four.
You know, I would be more than comfortable if we made that amendment to add, you know, the option of installing a public water system.
On 6.
And
you
just
can't,
strike the
municipality.
wildland urban interface for now. I mean, that's something that we could certainly amend.
Well, it'll give us some protection down the road, give you guys
Yeah.
ability to say.
I think it's a good idea.
And,
It's
but
a
with that
concern.
said,
Still get to come back and visit it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Mr. Rand?
So it's an option, if that's what you guys want to do. I just don't know if it has any impacts for, if the desire is to have the community water system or whatever as an exception to the connecting to the municipal water supply. Is that the question that you want?
The concern that I have is that it's impossible, it will be impossible to do that because the vast majority of municipalities will not do what we're asking the applicants, the property owners to do. It's just, that's not in their policy to make any connections outside of their municipal boundaries.
So,
Even when I think developers that have come before us have reached out to the municipality and say, hey, I will put this in.
They'll
I'll
put all
in
the
the
sewer and
facilities.
water,
And
sewer
we're like,
and
no,
water lines.
we don't wanna add you.
And so that's my concern is that we, you know, let's not give people false hope that this is an option. If it's, you know, my preference is code, if we're gonna give something, it should have, here's an option. Well, if you wanna do this, you gotta put in a public water system. That is a big hurdle.
If that's something you want to do, that's fine. I just don't know, based on prior discussions that were there, the other impacts for the regulatory mechanism, other things that are triggered if you trigger that public water system. I just don't know the answers to those right now.
so on a lot that's, on a development that's 8 lots or bigger, where they have to drill the well to prove that there's water there for those 8 lots before.
Under this, yes.
What the legal implications are and all that stuff that was part of Bear River and stuff, again, I don't know that, and that's why the number 7 was picked here for now. Now, we have to research and look into that, right? I'm just saying, I don't know, there's a lot of what ifs that I don't know off the top.
Can we approve this with the condition to come back and amend it at a later date?
Well, I don't think we wanna approve it the way it is.
Well, one point of clarification with the 7. So, and help me guys, so it was my understanding in doing the 7 that we was only willing to consider over 7 regardless of the water system if they were in an annexation deal. If we leave this open-ended and just add a public water system, well, they could go out way outside of the annexation point. Do we want that?
Well, most of the county, turn on the annexation zones. I think the majority of the county is in, pretty much cities went boundary to boundary and just said, even though they know they may never get there.
There's still
That
some
was being
holes,
requested
but
by the county,
Yeah,
as
there
part
are
of
a
our
couple
master
little holes,
plan.
but not very
Not
many
very big.
anymore, I don't think.
Huh.
There used to be big ones.
I think the language that's in here for subdivisions over 7 proposed lots, such subdivisions must be within a local municipality's annexation plan. Additionally, the proposed subdivision must connect to municipal waters.
That's
And we could, and we could say, or provide a,
go north, yeah, let's see north of
Yeah,
those.
that's-
Does say Clarkston, Newton.
So we got a lot of area that's not.
Yeah.
Newton,
Yeah, in between Newton.
all that between Richmond and Trenton, and the north, Clarkston, we got a lot of area that's not annexed.
That's true.
oh yeah.
Do we have to
So-
say anything about maintenance of that system?
No, the state
No,
regulations will do that.
They do all that.
They'll be
We just
required
have
to do all that when they become a public, they get inspected yearly.
Okay.
That all.
Curtis, County Code on the definition of water system would allow it.
No.
That's something-
And I'm just using that language because that's what popped into my head, but I'm sure that is clearly defined in state code, and we can point towards that.
Written on that?
Yeah.
And that's
Jason-
why we went with 7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
He helped clarify my concern though in my question. It's already clear in 6. If they're over 7, it must be within a local municipality's annexation plan. So we don't have to worry about that.
And then the water system is in addition to that.
Has to be in that annexation zone. They can.
You know, it says additionally, the proposed subdivision must connect to connect with a municipal water supply from a municipality within the county to meet the water requirements for the subdivision. And my proposal would be, or provide and approve, whatever the language is, public water system, and I don't
And
have the
what's
definition.
interesting is in Wellsville, there was a subdivision on the south side of 8991, and he petitioned to go to Wellsville. It wasn't in the city at that time. It's where our church is.
Mhm.
The developer had to give water rights, turn them into the city, and then pay for the water and the sewer to be put into there, and Wellsville jumped at the deal.
They did it at that one,
Yep,
but they wouldn't do it for the next one.
There was another one right across from his mother's,
right.
south of his mother's that
Well,
tried.
that came down to the size of the lots.
And they have to go under the highway too.
Wellsville came to that meeting and said, this isn't in our zoning map, that we want those size of lots.
Yeah,
So
they want
that
money
is
for
why
lots.
we stopped it on that one. It wasn't water or anything else, Wellsville.
Wasn't it sewer though under the
sewer
highway
was-
cost?
Well, as the septic tanks was a big issue too, that many wells and septic tanks.
Yep. And the size.
In relation to them size of
Size
it,
of
yep.
the lots wasn't what Wellsville wanted, so.
Yeah. I see this as a way of protecting existing water rights too, limiting it to 7 lots, you know, unless you go and develop a public water system on over 8.
Yeah.
And we gotta change 4 and the other one too, though, then, in the sewer, because then if they're doing a private water system, then they don't need to hook on to a city sewage.
Sure.
So we've gotta add something there.
And that's still protected, the state is still.
Yeah, it's still, so, yeah, that might be a lot of rewording to approve tonight.
I don't know though if we, just knowing Richmond, no, I'm not speaking for them, but I think they would be more inclined to hook the water for you if you tied into their sewer, cause you're paying for their sewer system. If it's doable, but I don't know, we might be hurting ourselves there in
Well, I
trying
think
to
you
work
still,
with the
I think you still leave that
municipalities.
as an option, that you want them to try to go to, and get it annexed. If they can't, then they can do the other option. But if the city will hook them up to both, that is certainly priority number 1, I think.
Well, we met with the county council and with them, I mean, the whole concern was these big developments, 20 homes. You know, it's
Yeah,
just too hard to.
the concentrated ones, but again, to me, I'm with Jason, right, you have that 300 acre parcel, and they're all, you know, maybe there's 20 lots and they're 15 acres each, then
But you
most
cluster
of
them
those
together, it's
concerns.
hard to maintain
Yeah,
those.
yeah, if you cluster them, then it makes sense to have some of those requirements, if they're spread out on 15 acre
Yeah,
lots.
I agree with that.
Then none of this, in my mind, makes as much sense, other than making sure there's water there.
We're way big in what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, it's
way big.
It's a lot.
But I feel strongly that if we can, we still need to come to something that establishes a lot maximum, or we're gonna be swimming uphill.
Yeah.
Well, we can do, we could, I don't think how you would do it. You could almost just pass something that just restricts lot size for a certain period of time. Similar to what the county did with their, right, they did it for water. I guess they could pass another moratorium on large subdivisions based on sewer requirements, which would give us 6 months to address that, instead of wording something that doesn't make any sense.
Do we know, Connor, or any of you, where is the county at in regards to the deal that we heard last month? Is that any closer on knowing details, if one of these systems, septic systems, are even doable to put within a protection zone?
According to Bear River Health, those systems are awesome, but they have to be ran by a municipality, by law. So.
A sewer system?
Yes, the new sewer system that we're trying, that's gotta go up in Wellsville Canyon for those 28 homes. But the only reason that happened is Wellsville City agreed
To operate it.
to operate that septic system.
But the one for the church in Cove, where it's a single building, would that still have to be run? It's only if it's a community system with multiple
There's been
homes.
negotiation meetings on that. Have you heard how they came out on that, Sandy?
I think Lewiston's almost to where they're okay with that one.
The source protection was a big issue on that one, so I know there's been meetings, but I haven't heard how they're going out on them.
I heard
Last
rumors
was
that
they're making
Lewiston
some
was all right with
Yeah,
what was happening.
talking with some of Lewiston recently, I heard the same, but I don't know for sure.
The health department got involved.
To me, it seemed like it made a lot of sense. They have a septic system that's been there for 100 years.
Well, they've already got one.
Yeah, that's old and.
It's already being used.
Old and not maintained.
It's gotta be worse
You're
than
gonna get rid of
anything.
that and put in one that's really good.
Anything they could put in new today.
That's what I thought. It seemed like a win-win. So yeah, I think there's a lot here that needs.
So,
to work.
legal, what do you see, if anything, we could do tonight to still allow us some further study, further whatever, but yet kind of handle our problem of putting a cap on total number for a minute?
Well, nothing's gonna happen, because this will just be a recommendation to the council.
Yep.
They would still have to approve it.
Yeah.
Correct.
But we're still, do you feel comfortable, Chris, with all this stuff and all the what ifs and whatever? Can we pin it down?
In general, I'm comfortable with it. I think the items we've discussed tonight, that the concerns and adjusting the wording and stuff like that makes sense to me.
Well, can you approve it with the condition that we can come back and amend it? That's-
Like, I don't think you even need that.
What about
I
the
think we
urban?
can amend it whenever we
What about
want
the
to.
3 lot on the urban? How do you feel about that? Urban interface or whatever the edge is, Chris?
I like the suggestion of some level of consistency, and so my inclination would be, if we're going with 7, to
Go to 7.
go with 7.
And I would support that.
That makes sense.
I mean, in reality, we'll be visiting this once the water study's done and opening it. I don't know how many will be up there next to the urban wildlife area until we get exact understanding from what the state's pushing us as well, so. All of these are moving parts.
So that says that if we approved it, or if we suggested changing it from 3 to 7 tonight, and after that's done and they say no 3, all we gotta do is change it again, right?
And the council could make that change independent of us.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
The timing for everything as far as when this state, whatever recommend tonight, I'm not sure how long it'll take to get on the next council meeting and get adopted and stuff.
It's gonna have to be in February, well, it could be at the end of January.
Right, so there's gonna be a little bit of a gap from when the current moratorium ends versus when anything would go into effect, because typically things will go into effect 15 days after the council acts, so either way, there's gonna be a good gap when
Sure.
the moratorium ends, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the thought is, I mean, if you want us to tweak some language, come back, have a further discussion in February, do it, go from there, that just delays a little bit more, but that's certainly an option if you want to get it. I'm not saying it's wrong right now or whatever, but to get how you want and are comfortable with it, you can always go that route too, but again, it's whatever you want to do.
Pending that you guys are comfortable with it, I would go ahead and recommend recommend to the county council acceptance of the modifications to chapter 1604-080 with, and help me with the modifications. So we'd start in A, but that brings up another question, because we were talking about having to drill one well.
On those bigger subdivisions,
On
that's
those
all
bi-
you'd be drilling anyways is one for the whole subdivision.
So we're not worried about that in this.
Yeah, even 5, you could still drill, even if you had 6 lots, you could still drill one well and hook all 6 houses to it.
So does 5 need modified?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay, so on 6, if I'm correct, the modification that we need to, or that we would suggest to the council is leave the first part the way it is, but where it says additionally,
Go to the end
They
of
would
that
con-
sentence. and
they would
say,
have 2 options, either
Or-
connect with the municipal water supply,
Or
or B,
Provide.
an approved
public water system.
private water system, which in turn,
Public water system.
public water system, which in turn entails requiring a water protection area.
Source protection. I don't even know that you need to specify
I don't
that,
even-
just
it's
provide an
Because
approved.
it can be required either way,
Yeah, that's automatic.
okay? Help me from there, well,
Then it
let's
was-
wait
and
until
then-
she's got it
And
ready.
then C4,
You good?
Then C4, we can take that to 7 lots, right?
change it from 3 to 7.
Okay, but, okay, B was good, and then on C4, yeah, subdivisions over 7 lots are not allowed if they're within a quarter of a mile of the wildland urban interface. That's what you, feels good, Chris?
Yeah, and I think we needed to add one line under B4, didn't we? Because if you're doing a public water system, now you don't necessarily need to hook to a city sewer system.
Okay.
Because you'll have a source protection plan to accommodate your septic tanks for 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever lots it is in your subdivision.
Should we leave that flexible, though? That if,
You've got it, or it doesn't make sense to do that other option up above.
well, all I'm saying is if the city allowed them to hook to the water system, but required them, we would want to support that, correct?
If,
Yeah, I think.
We're allowing either or, is what we're saying.
Yeah, either or.
Okay.
Either or.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think.
Well, I was just trying to support the city if they were
Yeah.
gonna give them the water.
The wording change would be the same as the
Yeah.
above.
Yep.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
It's just, instead of a private water system, they would just hook onto the city. You hook onto the city.
Pay the city.
Or they'll meet the state requirements for
Okay.
that.
So are you clear on that, Megan, or not?
Not for exhibit B4, what are you wanting to add in there?
Take it, Nate.
Well, I don't know exactly how to word it, but if.
We're talking sewage
Sewage, yeah.
B4.
But if they're doing A6, their private water system or public water system now, because they're over 8 lots or more, the city won't hook them up. They've now put in a public water system. Most likely, the city's also not letting them hook the sewer, right? So if we don't have an exemption here that they can do if the city won't hook them up, then the other one doesn't make sense. So we need something similar here that says, if you're putting in a public water system for
You don't need
8
the
lots or
sewer.
more, and the city won't hook you up, you can still put in septic systems based on Bear River Health Department, requirements. Something to that effect.
Give me 1 second.
You can reword it with your magic. Because otherwise, the other exemption doesn't matter. Right? If they can't, if the city's not gonna hook them onto water and they can put in a private water system, they can still only do 7 lots because the city won't hook them on for sewer. It
Okay,
doesn't
this
make
is what I
sense.
have. You tell me if you like it or not. I said, if exhibit B4, if option A6 for a public water system is chosen for 8 lots or more, septic systems will be allowed based on the requirements of the Bear River Health Department.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that sounds good.
Or, yeah, cause that'll take into all the source protection area stuff too.
So I'm gonna read this whole motion back, and you guys tell me if it says what you want. I have Christensen motion to recommend approval to the county council with the suggested modifications of exhibit A6 to add in the option to connect with the municipal water supply or to create a public water system. Exhibit B4, if option A6 for a public water system is chosen for 8 lots or more, septic systems will be allowed based on the requirements of the Bear River Health Department. And exhibit C4 to increase that number to 7 lots instead of 3.
I think you got it.
Oh, but you're already there too.
Good job. Okay,
That's my motion.
okay.
Will you reword that for us?
And I'm sticking to it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Sure.
Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. think that's it.
Gentlemen, thanks for your time and debate on that. That helps, so. You
Yeah.
guys are awesome.
That's good. Anything else, Connor, tonight? No?
Next meeting?
2 rezones and I think either CUP or subdivision.
Great. Well, we'll adjourn the meeting.